Since the power went out today, I wanted to give you just a real quick rundown on the fractional exponents again, just to be sure that um, you can succeed on the Khan Academy. And then I'm going to put it on the quiz tomorrow. So uh, let's take a look. All right, so one of the examples I gave you was, so we'll start with this way. We'll do, if I have something like 4, and I say 4 to the first power, okay, and then, so then what is 4 to the first power? Well, that's going to equal 4, okay? And then if I have 4 squared, well, what does 4 squared equal? That's 4 times 4. That would be equal to 16, okay? And so on and so on. So let's sort of take this idea though and let's kind of back it up then, okay? So instead of, so I've got 4 to the first and 4 to the second. So what happens if I've got 4 to the 0 power, right? So above that, you know, I'm going to have, we decided that that's going to be equal to 1. That would be the starting point. It can't be 0, remember, because if I'm going to be multiplying or dividing, I need to start with something in order to be able to divide it, or in order to multiply it, right? Multiplying means make groups of it. Okay, so then I'm going to keep going. I'm going to say, okay, well, what about 4 to the negative 1? And what does this one equal? Well, this one is equal to 1 over 4, right? And I could rewrite that as 1 over 4 to the first power, okay? And I could keep going that way, all right? So remember, if I have the negative 1, it drops it down at the denominator, or, you know, moves its location. If it's in the numerator, I'm going to drop it into the denominator, okay? All right, well, let's take this idea then, and then let's continue on, and let's sort of find something in the middle here, okay? And this is what we were talking in class, is that what happens if I have 1/2? What's somewhere in between there, right? And so the 1/2 exponent is saying the square root, okay? This is the same as saying the square root of 4, okay? I'm taking it, I'm saying, sort of saying, if what two numbers multiplied together make 4, we'll take one of those. All right, and so this is going to be equal to 2. Another way you can look at it, remember, it's take half, right? If I take, it's what number is equal to, right? 4 is equal to 2 times 2. Well, half of these numbers, right? This would be half of it, so that's sort of why you get 4 to the 1/2 power. Okay? All right, so let's kind of move on here, and I'm going to put up a couple problems just sort of randomly, and I want you to solve them. Pause the video. So let's start with this. We'll do something like we'll do 16 to the 1/2, okay, and do 9 to the 1/2 power, and then think about 100 to the 1/2 power. Okay, pause the video and you do those now. All right, well, hopefully you looked at this and you said, okay, this means the square root of 16. Well, the square root of 16 is going to be 4, okay? And then 9 to the 1/2 is going to be the square root of 9. So what is that? Then I'm going to have 3, okay? And then what is 100 to the square root, or 100 to the 1/2 power? Okay, it's the same as the square root of 100, and then I'm going to get 10. Okay? Good, good, good. All right, so now let's take it and bump it up a level. Okay, let's go back to this. Okay, let's say I have 9 to the 1/2. All right, but now what I'm going to do is say, all right, well, what happens if I make this negative 1/2? All right, now I'm putting ideas together here. Okay, so what this is, you have a couple different options, right? First, I could say, all right, this is sort of like saying 9 to the negative 1 times 9 to the 1/2. Okay? And again, what you could do is you could add these, right? I could do negative 1 plus 1/2, right? Negative 1 plus 1/2 gives me negative 1/2. Same base, multiply together, add them, get this, okay? What that's going to give me is, here, let's do the same line. 9 to the negative 1 is 1 over 9. Okay, and then I have, and then I have 9 to the 1/2, which would be times the square root of that, which is 3. Okay, and then if I do 3 over 9, right, this is equal to 3 over 9, which is the same as 1/3. Okay, now another way you could do it is you could look at this right away and you could say, okay, 9, I could say 9 to the negative 1/2 is the same as 1/9, and then the square root of that. Okay, well, this would be the square root of 1/9 is, if you think the square root of 1 is 1 and the square root of 9 is 3, and I've got 1/3 again. All right, Good. Another way we could have looked at that is we could have done 9. We could have taken the square root right away, which is 3, and then said that is -1, which will then again give me 1/3. All different variations of the same idea. Okay? Good? All right, let's try a couple more. All right, so let's do something like this. Let's say you have 8, okay? And we'll say 8 to the 1/3 power, okay? Now again, this is sort of saying this would be the cube root, right? Like a number multiplied 3 times, and then I get to keep one of them, right? So this would be like, this is sort of saying 2 times 2 times 2, right? And then I'm going to keep, that's the 3 numbers, and then I'm going to keep one of them, so that would be this. So that would be equal to 2. Another way of writing this is 8 to the 1/3 is the same as the cube root, right, of this, of 8. Okay, and then what number is that? That would be 2. All right, so now what I want you to do is I want you to find a couple of these. Let's do maybe 27 to the 1/3, and you could do 64 to the 1/3, and you could do, let's try 1,000 to the 1/3. Okay, go ahead. All right, well, hopefully you did this and you said, okay, well, this is 27. That's the cube root of 27, which is going to be equal to 3. And then 64 to the 1/3 would be the cube root of 64, which is equal to 4. And 1,000 is the cube root of 1,000, which is equal to 10. Good? All right. Then, let's say you have something like this. Let's say I have 8, and I'm going to decide that I'm going to say 8 to the 2/3. Ooh, now we're getting funky. Okay, so let's pause real quick. Let's go back to this idea of 4 to the first power equaling 4. Okay? Now, I want to rewrite this. Okay? I can rewrite 1 as 2 over 2. Okay? And then what I'm going to basically do here is I can say, okay, this could be 4 squared, and then take the square root of that. Or what I could do is I could do 4, take the square root of 4, right? That's this part, and then take that and square it. So I could take the square root of 4, right? And then square that. Or we could do 4, right? To the 2 over 2 is going to be equal to 4 squared, and then take the square root. Okay? Either way, you're going to end up with 4, right? 4 squared is 16. The square root of 16 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. 2 squared is equal to 2 squared is equal to 4. Okay, so the idea again is sort of what number multiply by itself is going to be equal to this, and then keep 2 of them. So let's go back to here. So the 8 to the 2/3 power is going to give me something that looks like 8, right? And I can either take the cube root and then square it, or I could square it and then take the cube root. And so let's just go ahead and do it both ways. So this could be the cube root of 8, right? Oh, here, let me rewrite this. Let me rewrite this a little bit. Let's do this a little bit better for you guys. So let's do it this way. I'll do 8 to the 2/3. So what I can do is I can say 8 squared times 8 that raised to the 1/3, right? So remember, when I have a power raised to another power, I'd multiply. So 2 times 1/3 is 2/3. So this is going to be equal to 8 squared is 64 to the 1/3 power. Okay, well, what's the cube root of 64? That's going to be equal to 4. Okay. Another way I could do it is I could say, okay, this is equal to 8 to the 1/3. Then I'm going to square it. Well, that's going to be equal to, okay, well, what's the cube root of 8? That's 2 squared. That's going to equal to 4. Okay? Either way. Right? And that's sort of this idea of the cube root. Okay? I'm saying what number times itself 3 times. Okay? What number times 3, right? And itself 3 times here. That's going to be 2. And then square that. Okay? So, hopefully you have a decent understanding. Let me do one more here. Let's say you get something that looks like, we'll do 9 over 16. Okay, you'll get something like this in Khan Academy. And it might say something like -1/2. Okay? Or let's say, let's even do this. We'll say negative, we'll do this. We'll do negative 3 halves. Okay? So, really what you got to do is break it down. Okay? And so, since this is 2, I would prefer to break it smaller and then cube it rather than try to cube and then go smaller. Okay? I'd rather deal with smaller numbers in here if I can. All right, so a couple different options. One is this is negative, so what I could do is I could just right away switch it and then get 3 halves, okay? And then from here, I'm going to take this, I'll use this part and take the square root, so I would get 4 thirds cubed, which then will give me 4 cubed is going to be 64, and this is going to give me 3 cubed, which is 27, okay? Another way I could have done it is I could just do it this right away. I could have said this would be equal to, instead of flipping it right away, I could take the square root right away, and then I would get 3 over 4 raised to the negative third power, okay? And then from here, I could we could flip it, so we could do 4 thirds cubed, right? And that's going to get me there again. Okay. Try the couple Khan Academies that I did. Sorry this video ended up being longer than I wanted it to be, but I wanted to make sure you had enough examples for the fractional exponents. And do your best on Khan Academy. It's, like I said, it's learning how to read it, so practice that, and hopefully you get it. All right, see you guys tomorrow.